Hey everybody, this is my research short too. I'm late to get into it because it was harder than I thought to find research on this that I don't know that I felt would mesh with my paper like I needed it to. Um, so my topic again is using conversation as a tool for guiding mathematical content knowledge and the implementation of mathematics skills. My subtopic is discourse in mathematics classrooms. You would think that was super easy to find information on, but most of the ones I found were like regular like magazine articles instead of um, like research based journal things. So it was a little difficult for me to find information on it, but I came up with two articles that I thought were really good. The only problem is the sample sizes are very small. But they gave me the information I wanted, so the first one article is describing levels and components of Math Talk learning community, and the second one was teachers promoting student mathematical reasoning. Again, they're both focusing on that discourse within the classrooms. So my first article describing levels of components of a Math Talk learning community. Excuse me. The purpose of the article was to examine the question, how does the teacher, along with her students, go about establishing a sort of classroom community that can enact reform mathematical practices? Okay, so in this study, there's like four teachers. Sorry, that's my niece. Well, they started off by telling me that there was four teachers in the school doing this project. Doing this research thing, but I guess they only ended up focusing on one of the teachers. I don't understand how that happened, but her conversations were pretty good. So if you want to go read through this journal, I put a reference to it at the end of this. Yeah, it was one of the four elementary classes. The students were primarily ALL. Get off of me, Aria. Shh, I'm doing homework. It was qualitative research method. The major finding for this was math conversations moved from a level 1, which was the teacher driven conversations. I'm sorry about that. But the conversations moved from a level 1 to a level 3, and we all want our students to be at that higher level conversation in the classroom. But when they first started, they just weren't at that level. So she had to kind of work from getting to know these students, for them to get to know how she questioned, moving on to them being able to take over the process. So for the evidence, the students were first answering questions that Miss Martinez posed to them. Then she repeated back what they said in a clearer way, just for like understanding purposes. When she got to the second level, they were asking a friend. She posed them to ask a friend. They asked her originally, but then she was like, "Go ask this person how they solved it," and then if they got stuck within the process, she would keep telling them to go like reiterate what that person said, and just ask for clarity purposes. Then the implement and by the time they made it to level 3, they can carry out math conversation, and with her standing around, listening, but they were doing it on their own. And it wasn't just like, oh, what'd you get type of thing. They were really in depth answering those, trying to figure out how each other solved the problem. The implications and conclusions. The article states that this classroom can serve as an example to others to switching from a level 1 conversations to level 3 conversations. So the beginning of this article, they're kind of talking about how there's a reform in math, going from basic recall, like simple, just being able to answer a problem and solve a problem, to really understanding what they're doing and talking about it. So, that to say classroom as an example, because especially since these students aren't all English language learners, for them to be able to speak in English and carry out those math conversations was like a really good thing. And building upon what students know and how to come to know this information allows them to be invested in the process and allow them to build a community with others that share the task or testing and provide their knowledge. Then moving on to my second article, which was teachers promoting student mathematical reasoning. The purpose of this was to examine the ways teachers can promote students and engage in meaningful mathematic conversations to solve the problem. So again, it was like how the teachers are moving in and pulling themselves out of the conversation, because as we know that this is not something that students automatically do. They don't automatically just jump into the conversations with their classmates. They have to be taught how to do this. So it's really the teachers that start in the beginning with this idea of, hey, you are part of the conversation. You're not just here to listen to me talk and answer our questions. Moving on to them holding the conversation. So the sample for this again was part of a larger study. These students were all in after-school programs. They met for 12 two-hour sessions to discuss math tasks. It's the after-school stuff. So it focuses on 24 minority sixth graders, which were the minorities were the African American and Latino population. They participate in 5 2.5-hour sessions. The sessions were all videotaped and then transcribed. They actually had 4 video cameras on them, so people transcribing this got to see all of what they were doing and be able to, really study that. Qualitative research method again. Major findings were the teacher started the earlier sessions with just making students' ideas public. And by the end, they were focusing on students' ideas, but there was a shift towards also eliciting students' ideas. Okay, so the making students' ideas public, that's just basically, when I read from this article, that was basically just them telling them, oh, tell everybody how you did this. Share with the class, with your partner, how you got this answer, or what did you get for that. It was very, 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 shallow, and then by the time they got to eliciting students' ideas, they were having conversations like they were on the first article. As students got used to the process of questioning, they began to reflect on that in their own conversations with each other. So as they got used to the types of questions that the teachers were asking them, they were being able to become the facilitator like the teacher was in the beginning and ask their own questions to their partners or their little groups. They felt comfortable engaging in conversations that would lead each other to better understand mathematics reasoning. They found that different types of questions were purposeful for different reasons. Okay, so to support these findings, because teachers did not criticize answers, but rather critiqued them, students were comfortable taking ownerships of their processes. This last two are talking about how the different types of questions were purposeful for different reasons. Because the study was also focusing on the different ways in which teachers work to get answers from students, should I say. So moves geared towards eliciting students' ideas were often used for tasks that were more challenging for students, and moves geared towards encouraging students' explanations and or justifications occurred more often while students were working on tasks that encouraged them to use varied solutions of the strategies. So it was basically the findings basically showed that the different types of questions are not wrong. They just have the different times for different questions. Like if I'm going to ask students for questions that require like a bunch of explanations, it's because I know that what you're saying might be a better way for somebody else to understand it. Um, just because it's not the norm or not something I would directly teach you doesn't mean it's wrong, and it might actually be helpful for somebody else. So that's why we would use those type of questions. And then yeah, so that was it. Those are my references. Um, I think this is the first one. That one had some really good conversations in it. I would go back and read that one. Oh, forgot to italicize. Sorry.